Okay, something a little different for the Mill Geek channel. Having said that, I've been into EDC, everyday carry, for many years now. I'm not preparing for the fall of society or the day zombies come to town. These are not survival packs. These are just little convenient pouches to carry everyday tools in. First of all, for when I was travelling for my job, and later on when I was forced into retirement, this became my travel pack for when we went on short holidays or even weekends away. Now originally I started with a medium-sized pack, something in between these two here. And unfortunately, over time, because I kept collecting small tools, it morphed into this kind of ginormous brick, really, which over the past couple of years has become a bit of a pain to take. If we're going travelling with the car, I will still throw this into the back of the car or in the boot, but for actual short travel, weekends away, city breaks, that sort of thing, this became a little bit of a pain in the ass, to be perfectly honest. It's quite hefty now. So I started not taking it, or just again unpacking a few of the tools that I needed and put it into a little travel case, so this pack became pointless really. So it was about time that I downsized. Now I was originally going to see if I could go back to a middle-sized pouch, but I thought, well, if I'm going to do this, I might as well go the whole way, and we'll try going to a small pouch. Having said that, and I will cover what I've got in these pouches in a separate prolonged video, but what I ended up with this was a small pouch, but I found that I couldn't fit everything into it, and I didn't want to go back to the medium pouch. So what I actually found online was this double small pouch that's made in Croatia, and I'll put the link in the details. Custom made by a really nice guy. I've just received this, and it does fit everything I need into it. Now, there was one problem with one of the tools. Well, there's been a couple of problems with a couple of the tools, to be honest, coming down from this large size to the small size. I've had to kind of modify some of the tools or change them altogether to fit them into this small format package. And the main one that I've had to modify or change or look into has been my torches. Now, I'll just pop these on here. This was my very first EDC torch that I got many years ago from Wilco's, who don't exist now. This was a cheapie. This was under a £5 at the time, but it turned out to be quite a handy little torch with various beam focuses, levels, and even a strobe, which for the price at the time was very good. But obviously there was one downfall, which you can probably see. It's a kind of pen flashlight. It has the little hanger like that, and you can stick it in the top pocket or even the cargo pocket of your trousers, but it is quite long. So always trying to save space with my packages. I eventually got something a bit more well, slightly more expensive, but a bit more solid than this lightweight aluminium torch. This is made by Lumitop. It's been a great torch. I've had this for several years now, and it's got me out of several little problems on holiday when we've been trying to find things on a night time. If we, for example, have hired a small cottage or apartment and had a fuse go on one particular occasion, this torch really saved the day. It's a lovely little torch, really solid, but again, it was still a little bit on the big side for this particular pouch. You could see it could probably fit, but it's the diameter of this particular torch. It's pretty chunky still, and it will take up a lot of area within this particular pouch. So I wanted to go down yet again. So this week the postie has brought me a couple of packages. The RovyVon torch and this little one, the Wuben, which I love the name of, Wuben. Little keychain torches. In fact, they're both what are technically called keychain torches. They fit very nicely into a keychain, but by definition, it means they all also fit very nicely into very small pouches. like this one. So this is where I'm actually going now. I'm trying to downsize everything towards this small package. Now, of these, the RovyVon is more your traditional flashlight format. I won't go into all the details in this particular video. I'll do a special video on the features. What I'm really focusing on is the size of flashlights and downsizing. And if you take my normal torch, the Lumitop, and compare the RovyVon, you can see that it's not only shorter by quite some way, it's also narrower. And I like the way that it's almost bordering on rectangular in the way the body of the torch goes towards the end. Front end is your normal circular torch, but it comes to this flatter end. Now this does actually make a difference. It makes it easier to package within one of these small pouches. It sits very nicely with this kind of semi-rectangular back end here in a smaller area. So I quite like that idea. The kind of downside, I guess, from going from the traditional larger flashlights, I say larger, we're all talking relative here, these are EDC flashlights and are a smaller format. But once you get down to these small flashlights, there's a tendency to power them by an internal battery. They're rechargeable. You can see a USB-C input on the side of the torch here. And I'm not a fan of rechargeables. This has been my go-to torch because if I actually go to the battery that's inside, it is a AA, but it's a rechargeable. So I get kind of like the best of both worlds. In fact, I've got a special AA that's a case that takes a AAA, and the AAA is a rechargeable. Not only that, but it's one of those little rechargeable batteries that has a USB-C or micro USB slot in the battery itself, so you could directly recharge the battery. And in this combination, I get the best of all worlds, really, because I've got a rechargeable battery that's easy to recharge inside the torch when I want to recharge it, but at the same time, this torch also takes normal AA batteries or the AAA in the adapter to make it a AA. So, you know, this has been great for me. I've kind of covered all my bases with it. So coming down to these particular flashlights, it means that I've had to make a little bit of a compromise, bite the bullet and finally go for one of these rechargeables. You can probably see that this particular flashlight, the RovyVon, is nearly the size of a AAA battery on its own. So I'm going to learn to live with these rechargeable flashlights and see how I get on with them. Now, the reason I've got two is because I was so unsure about the amount of space that I have. This one is already packed, nearly solid. I've got about 2 places left in it, one for the flashlight and one for the new multi-tool, which I'll have coming next month. So I really wanted to see what I could get that would fit in here. And even with how small the RovyVon is, I was still worried, looking at that diameter, that it would take up a lot of valuable real estate within this pouch. So I got a backup, and that's where the Wuben comes in. This is a proper keychain battery, and by that I mean that it isn't a normal source of illumination. It's one of these tiny, just take it out of the package here, you'll probably see it, it's one of these tiny LED bulbs in here. I've got one of these already, which I use as my backup, funnily enough, on my main pack. So I also thought about for a moment maybe using this in here. It's very flat, as you can see, but the illumination on this is not great. I mean, it is great for what it is, and it's really meant for a keychain to help you get your key in the door on a dark night, and this will actually illuminate a reasonable amount, but it's certainly not a flashlight. So I was a little bit uncomfortable with going down to this type of bulb, thinking that it would be very much like, or worrying that it would be very much like that little keychain light. But I shouldn't have worried about that, because this is very bright. It was brighter than I expected it to be, and is not a bad little flashlight at all. Now again, it is actually rechargeable. The USB-C charging port is on the rear here, and you just take up that rubber flap, and there you go. That's your USB-C in there. It's got an internal rechargeable battery, of course. Again, not incredibly happy with that, as only having one option for the power source, and what happens when it runs out. Will I be able to recharge it? That sort of thing I do worry about. But you've got to make some compromises to get down to this extra small size, and as you can see, that would fit in there very nicely. And the advantage it has over the RovyVon, of course, is it's very thin. That will sit in there, and depending on how big the little multi-tool that I'm getting is going to be at the end, will make the decision on which of these go into this pack. If it doesn't take up too much space, I might be able to fit the RovyVon, which I'll be happier with in a way. I mean, it is a better flashlight. The beam on this is superb. It actually rivals my Lumitop, believe it or not, for the size. It's unbelievable, the advances that flashlights have made. But I do have the backup if the multi-tool turns out to take up too much space in here and I'm really stuck with just a small bit of space left. It will have to be the Wuben flashlight here, and I just have to live with the fact that it will be this smaller beam, but still quite a powerful beam, having said that. Okay, so there we are with my new flashlights. I'm going to have to wait until payday again for the multi-tool to arrive, and then we'll take a look at everything and how it's going to pack into here. We'll open up the pouches, see what's in. I'll see what tools I've taken out of this original pouch to put in this one, and what tools I've actually left out for this small package. And we'll also see which is going to be my new everyday carry flashlight. Will it be the RovyVon or will it be the Wuben? I just won't know yet, so we'll see next month. But there we go.